and welcome back to Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite. I'm your host, Jim Chapman. We are continuing with this 19th episode in our Diddy Saga series. Got a lot coming up for you today. We're going to get into several things. First, I'm going to cover an interview given by a former bodyguard of Diddy's in which he exposes things that you're going to hear for the first time. And then we are going to get into the news that has hit over the past week since I brought you the last episode, episode 18. I saved the best for first today. And it is an interview that was conducted by a former mobster turned podcaster, a guy by the name of Michael Francis. He was a member of the Colombo crime family and one of, if not the richest mobsters of all time. Now, Francis ran a gas tax scam on the federal government in the 80s that netted him over $1 million a week. And you can imagine with that kind of money coming in, eventually what happens? He gets caught. He spent years in prison. He got released and he started his own podcast, which is now one of the top podcasts in the world. So what's all that got to do with Diddy? Well, just a few weeks ago, Francis sat down with a guy by the name of Big Homie CC. And Big Homie CC is a very large former bodyguard of none other than Sean Diddy Combs. Now, during his time guarding Diddy, he actually witnessed 3 separate freak-offs in person. And of all the people that have come out talking about what went on at these freak-offs, he is by far the most credible. And he just doesn't talk about the freak-offs. He makes a lot of allegations against particular celebrities. Those Jamie Foxx rumors, he discusses that and a bunch of other things. So just about all of this interview is telling, very telling. So I'm going to play a clip and then we'll talk about it, play another clip, and then we'll talk about that, similar to what I do in the Murdaugh series. And in this first clip, Francis asked Big Homie his insights in general on the Diddy parties. And Big Homie, he even discusses an altercation at one that is pretty wild. So here's that clip.
So here's the thing. I only been to 3 of his events. Now, when the first part of the event is a normal socializing mixer, upscale, the who's who is there, it's normal. But when you see the guy come out with the black suit and he's collecting everyone's cell phone and then inviting them to another party, which I say it's layers to it. They're inviting you to another part of the party where everybody cannot go. You see, so then that's when discrepancies start to take place because, my business is predicated on protecting women mostly because, you know how dudes are with a lot of money, yeah. They can straddle the fence. So once ladies in the industry know, he's got integrity, he can't be bought, stuff like that, you get booked a lot. So one instance, I was with a lady, she on the cover of the Gucci magazine, beautiful lady, a real runway model. And oftentimes, when you're doing close protection work for a model, but they barely get to eat at all. And when they do eat, they'll get the nutrients out of it. They'll right. Chew a grape, but they won't swallow the grape.
They're trying to maintain their figure. Yeah.
So, one glass of wine to that person, she's going to get drunk fast.
Right.
So, my job, you got to monitor those things. And a situation took place where it was a couple of us, and it's 4 of us total, 3 ladies, the principal and her 2 buddies. They sipped something and they started getting sick.
And this was the woman you were protecting. You were her security.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, my antennas go up. It led to a confrontation because I noticed that certain people knew what was going on. And the guy told me to relax, it's normal. No, this is not normal. Y'all don't know who y'all got here today. And, it led to a confrontation. I ended up getting hit with a bottle, get stitches. A couple guys had to go to the hospital, stuff like that.
Was it one of Diddy's bodyguards or one of his security people? Yeah.
Yeah, some people from this team.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got a team. He's got a team of people. And
so now when you say that this next group of people, this layer of group, did they go to a different location or was it at the same location?
Yes. So they ended up going upstairs. So because it's an open bar, first and foremost. Whatever drinks you want, usually the stuff he's contractually obligated to have normally. Any drug or narcotic you want is available. But you just start seeing groups of sex workers arrive, male, female, and you just start seeing people pairing off and start doing what they do. And if I'm in one of these events with a male and my principal is a man, I'll go wait in the car, because look, bro, I'm not here for the swinger party. You feel me? And then, you don't want to be the straight guy in a party where everybody else is rainbow, because when they start hitting on you, now you're the jerk. You never want to be that guy. You got to be a gentleman at all times until it's time to get vicious if necessary. So I never directly was paid by him or worked for him. I ended up at some of his events due to my employment, and yeah, man, a lot of strange things take place for sure.
Let me ask you a question. If you can recall, what was the worst thing or the most off-color thing that you saw happen at any one of these events?
Okay. So now when it comes to his events, the most off-color thing I saw was 1 second he's in a suit, next second he's in a towel, and he's holding hands with two Eastern European gentlemen. And
when you say that's Diddy. You mean Diddy? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and he's holding hands with these little vampire-looking guys, like they off the movie Twilight. And I knew. I said, all right, now I know what this is. I see what's going on here. It's time for us to exit. You see what I'm saying? So, by the grace of the good Lord, I was able to remove myself and my principal from there. But, there's been times where I've been with guys and they're staying. I had a famous singer tell me one day that he prefers trans ladies because they have stronger hands and stronger jaw muscles.
Now, who told you that?
He's a singer. His name's Bobby Valentino.
Bobby Valentino. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so but we grew up, we never looked up to these type of people. We always looked up to the gangsters, bro. So like the gangster guys, my uncles and all them, they would always say, man, be careful, man. That entertainment stuff is for sissies, stuff like that.
Exactly.
And so it's all about perspective.
Now, I found it interesting in that clip. Big Homie referenced someone at the party telling him to relax. This is normal. Y'all, that's pretty telling. And it's something you need to wrap your mind around. These people in Diddy's circle, they looked at this shit as just another party. That's how common it was. Absolutely mind-blowing to me. Now, in this next clip, they get into Diddy's MO, which were those lace drinks that he would give ladies and men in some cases. And something I never heard comes out of Big Homie CC's mouth. Here's that clip, and then we'll discuss.
There's been some talk that he had some drinks that were laced with something.
Lacing drinks in the hip-hop, entertainment, fashion industry is a big thing.
And what do they lace it with?
Well, previously it was Ruthlin. And then the onset of...
You got to forgive me, homie, but what is that? What is Ruthlin?
Ruthlin, you ever heard the term someone got roofied?
Oh, yeah, Ruthlin. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Ruthlin was like the majority, but, whenever you see guys doing a lot of coke, scopolamine is going to be around.
Mm-hmm.
And scopolamine, once you're dosed with scopolamine, a person can take you to the ATM machine. They can say, empty your ATM machine, empty your account. You're going to empty the account out, give away all your furniture. You have no control of yourself until it wears off. And it's usually permanent neurological problems that come from being dosed with scopolamine. So Rufalin and scopolamine is something I was always leery of, for sure.
Do you know if that ever happened at a Diddy party?
So I will say this. There are a lot of people in my inbox who are on active indictments toward him who are alleging that this took place. So, recently he came under scrutiny because of liquid GHB. Now, liquid GHB in a very small amount can incapacitate you. Lowers your heart rate to the point where someone may think you're asleep or dead, but you're really not. So there are people in the indictment saying that, he squirted them with baby oil and they passed out.
And and in my thinking, the only reason you would want to do that is to take advantage of somebody, whether it be sexually or any other way.
Right. And what I've grown to understand is any man who does ecstasy for longer than 2 or 3 years, they start to become a sexual diva. This guy Combs been doing ecstasy for 20 years. And now when he was arrested with a substance called Tusi, which is ketamine, ecstasy, cocaine mixed, and is dyed to be pink.
Yes.
So
that's the pink cocaine that now everybody's talking about.
Right. He was arrested with this while being under federal indictment and being monitored. So that goes to show that there's definitely addiction involved, and there's definitely a drug aspect involved as well.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever hear of cyanide being mixed in any of these drinks?
Now, see, whenever people mention cyanide, I get uncomfortable because over a period of 6 years, I had pneumonia 3 times, right? So on the final time, my mom takes me to the hospital. They get a toxicology report done. I test positive for cyanide. The way cyanide metabolizes in the human body is after a certain amount of dosages, it turns into pneumonia. Kim Porter, his ex-wife, died from pneumonia.
I heard that.
His ex-bodyguard recently, a few months ago, just died from pneumonia. And when I first started speaking out about this, there were no podcasts. It's like 2013. There are no podcasts. Social media is really just starting to get ingrained in society. So people told me I was crazy, said I was a hater, but I work hand in hand with law enforcement in my career path. And, they tested my car. My car handles tested positive for cyanide. So, I don't think a person will use cyanide directly at a party, but cyanide is around. I tested positive for it. I got my toxicology report to this day. So.
And let me ask you, why would you put cyanide in somebody's drink? What kind of behavior would that cause you to be?
Yeah, so you feel like you got the flu. You feel sick. You want to isolate yourself from everyone. And your lungs, you're coughing up mucus. Like, throughout history, cyanide poison was a way people got away with murder before the onset of better technology for testing for certain toxins and stuff like that. Because, cyanide used to be in rat poison. So, there's all type of cold case files. This person, she poisoned her husband over a series of weeks with rat poison. He died from pneumonia. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't invent or embellish. I'm only going to speak on things I can verify to be facts. And, I definitely tested positive for the cyanide, and I had pneumonia 3 times. I basically got 1 lung now because of it.
Really? So, but this didn't occur at a party for you. I mean, you didn't take a drink at one of Diddy's parties and maybe the cyanide was in one of those drinks.
No, see, because, I have been privy to certain things. So, it's this footage of me with a bottle of champagne in my hand that I brought with me while I'm with models and stuff like that. Because, it's a scary feeling, bro. Like when you can look at somebody and tell they've been compromised and you can't really explain why. So once me and my team had experienced roofing on our own, we said we can never let this happen again. So we invented some new protocols. If a bottle get brought to a section, if it's opened already, you got to send it back. We would travel with a portable test kit with us. All type of, if people are paying you to protect their life, you got to use every tool that's available to you.
Well, again, without making any definite allegations or pointing fingers, it makes you think why, Kim Porter would have died of pneumonia when Diddy is putting everything else in drinks. I'm not saying he did it. We don't know that. But it raises eyebrows. You gotta kind of think about it, Why did that happen? And she was relatively young, Kim. I mean, she was a young girl. It's not normal that you die of pneumonia at that age.
Just not normal. Just not normal. And some of the other substances that we mentioned, people will still start partying off of that. Cyanide touch you, you don't want to party.
Yeah.
So, you almost get a feeling like, man, something's wrong here. But you're not going to think that somebody's poisoning. You're not going to think that,
Right.
But it definitely happened to me. So, and like in the work that I do to combat human trafficking, I've had bounties on my life. I've had the FBI showing up telling me, yeah, we got information. By law, they got to tell you.
Right.
Had those situations, so you just kind of get accustomed that you know what you signed up for. So you just try to take as many steps possible to mitigate risk and hope for the best. Be vigilant.
So first, let's talk about that pink cocaine that he referenced, known as Tusi. Y'all, this is like the drug right now for the elite. It's basically MDMA, which is ecstasy, ketamine, Special K, and caffeine. He said cocaine was mixed in it. Maybe they mixed it in there, but typically it's caffeine, ketamine, and ecstasy, and then they dye it and turn it pink, and they call it Tusi. Another drug he mentioned was Rufalin. And of course, we all heard the phrase getting roofied before, so you can imagine what that drug causes. He also mentioned one called scopolamine, which on the streets is known as devil's breath. Now, its proper use is a drug to reduce nausea. Think of it like a strong version of Dramamine, but in high doses, mixed in beverages, it will cause major hallucinations. You'll be seeing the spirit horse, for example. He mentioned liquid GHB, and he did a great job of describing that, but he also said something I heard for the first time, which was Diddy would mix baby oil with it and squirt it on the attendees at the freak-offs. I guess it absorbed into their pores, and I would assume without them even knowing. And that kind of explains, the thousands of bottles of baby oil he had when his house was raided. So now I'm starting to see a picture. He mentioned 20 years of ecstasy addiction. Diddy was a big time junkie in addition to being a piece of shit rapist. Interesting. Now, the biggest shock for me in that clip was when he discussed the pneumonia and the fact that cyanide in small doses over time won't kill you, but it'll cause pneumonia, which kills you. And Diddy, he was known to have cyanide And as you heard that bodyguard say, the mother of his kids, Kim Porter, as well as his main bodyguard. I brought you that story a couple of episodes ago that during the time that this was all going down, his main bodyguard died of pneumonia. So that's two people. And Big Daddy CC claims he got sick and caught pneumonia, but he beat it. Things to make you say, Now in this next clip, he gets really deep into what we have all been wondering, which is, what about those big names involved, those celebrities? Well, buckle your seatbelt and listen to this.
You know, Suge was quite outspoken. He gave me names. He said that he mentioned Obama. He said Obama and Diddy were close friends. He even indicated they had a relationship, sexual relationship together. Obviously he spoke about Justin Bieber and Usher and all that. Is there anybody that you know that you feel you can talk about that was at these parties or affected by anything?
Well, so I am aware that Leonardo DiCaprio has he's having a lawsuit come up against the Busby lawyer because so right now what's happening is, so when they initially raided Combs' home, they did not inform the raiding officers whose home they were going to raid.
I didn't know that.
Right. So that right there goes to show, like, all right, now, this guy have a lot of reach. He could be somebody that's been cooperating previously. So once they got their hands on that footage, there have been laws passed for revenge porn and stuff like that. You can't sell someone's tape without them approving it. So, from my sources, some other close protection operatives, there are a lot of A-list stars right now who are doing what they can to prevent certain footage from coming out. One thing Suge Knight said that I can confirm to actually be facts, because I know this gentleman's part of his security team. Yeah, that they came to Ben Affleck and they said, your wife's on these tapes. So that's something I can confirm to be facts.
Jennifer Lopez.
For sure. I can confirm.
On the tapes, meaning that, you mean maybe videotapes, footage, whatever it is they confiscated there?
Yeah, because whenever I meet people like Combs, like, they like to keep trophies. They like to keep memorabilia from these escapades. And, this is something that's a lot more common than people think amongst elite parts of society. Just like, once a rich guy realizes that, wait a second, no one's going to tell me no. Depending on how you're raised and your moral compass and what you believe in, I've seen a lot of guys get off the handle. And I've seen Combs scream, say, I'm a savage. If I want it, I'm going to have it. I don't accept no for an answer. That let me know what I need to know, because, I've done security for certain guys, and, you show up to their house unannounced and he's in a mascot outfit in the floor with somebody else in a big teddy bear outfit, and they dry hump in the floor. They call themselves furries. You'll see a millionaire guy, he gets off by having in a furry costume. So you just never know what people are into.
Yeah.
This guy revealed what he's into.
When you say Leonardo DiCaprio, he's got a lawsuit against BuzzFeed because of something that they said with him regarding Diddy?
Yeah, so the guy Busby referenced that he has stills of a sexual encounter between Combs and an A-list celebrity with a much higher status than Combs.
So Big Daddy CC, he mentions three very well-known celebrities there: Leonardo DiCaprio, former President Barack Obama, and J-Lo. Now, obviously, this is his rendition of that. There hasn't been anything that I've been able to come across out there that corroborates it, but Man, if he's willing to come out and say that, he may have some pretty reliable proof. I don't know, but stay tuned for that. So I've stayed away from a lot of the big news regarding Jamie Foxx. Why? Because when Fox first mentioned this, he was in the middle of a comedy show and it appeared at the time to be part of his act, a joke. But Big Homie CC, he thinks differently in this clip. He discusses not only that, but the notorious NDAs that people signed at these parties. He talks about whether Diddy was an informant, and is this how he got away for this for so long? And he discusses Epstein's suicide and if he believes Diddy can end up with the same fate. Here's that clip, and then we'll discuss it.
I heard something about Jamie Foxx possibly being involved with Diddy and on the wrong side of it. You know anything about that?
So, bro, I seen Fox with Combs on several occasions at different events. Now, Jamie Foxx's family are the ones who reported Diddy to the FBI when Jamie Foxx went into the coma initially.
Really?
So that's how that all came about. His daughter, Corinne, and his mom were the ones who did that. And when people come and they ask Jamie on the street, he doesn't deny it. So, at the end of his comedy special on Netflix, at the live taping, he said out of his mouth that Combs was the person who poisoned them and put him in a coma. He said, I asked my partner for an Advil. He handed me the Advil. I woke up 22 days later.
Man.
Now, if you somebody knowing that, look, I got an indictment pending, I might need to start cleaning up my surroundings. You know how that go.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. What would be the purpose, and this I've heard many times, that Diddy had people sign NDAs when they came into the party, which if there was criminal activity going on, the NDA doesn't mean anything. And Diddy should have known that. But what do you think his purpose in that was? Just to try to get into people's head that you can't talk about this? Or?
Well, Michael, I'll tell you, non-disclosure agreements at celebrity who's parties is something that's taking place on a daily basis. Been taking place like that for years. Simply because I know for a fact that in Combs' NDA, you can't say anything about what you've seen or partook in at the party until 20 years after he's dead. And so, how do you get somebody to do a big favor for you?
Yeah.
Invite them over, show them a time of their life. You got them on camera doing something they're not supposed to do.
Right.
You put that call in for that favor. Hey, buddy, remember that day I really need to get this person right here signed to this person. Or I really need to get this person to stop speaking on that radio channel about me negatively. That's how it happened.
Let me ask you, one of the questions I had is, how does this go on for 20 some odd years? And the reason I say that, maybe there's a little, I don't want to say resentment, that's not the right word, but in my former life, the FBI was on us 24/7. We were I was indicted 7 times. I was arrested 18 times. I went to trial 5 times. I had 2 federal racketeering cases, 1 state. They were on me constantly. And look, I was a criminal. I was doing what I was doing, but I wasn't doing these kind of parties or anything like that. What I'm saying is, how does this go unnoticed or unbothered, I would say, for 20 years? So my first reaction is, this guy must be an informant. He must be doing something with the government. Just as my thought, I have nothing to back that up, until Suge said to me that Diddy's been an informant for years.
Right.
What's your thought on that?
Okay, so my thoughts on this is this. In your situation, you were making millions. And they couldn't really prove that you was doing it legally. So
Right.
they were out to prove that you were doing it illegally.
You're exactly right.
With Combs, they know how he's making his millions. So it's like, okay, we're not going to be able to go after him for taxes. We're not going to be able to go after him for operating a criminal syndicate that's doing racketeering as the source of income. And then you're operating in a network of people where, you know, he was the middleman. He's the party guy for the guys who really got the money. Because none of these problems started for him until he went after the liquor company that owned Ciroc. We all thought he was part owner of Ciroc.
Mm-hmm.
The moment he won that lawsuit, shortly after that, he sold Revolt TV. Revolt TV was his baby, his own network. He worked hard on that. So when I saw he sold that to his buddy, I'm like, all right now. Word just came down. They coming after him because you got those big corporations. You know, you got 5 or 6. You probably got 2 billionaires, a couple hundred millionaires on the board of directors. On Combs' board of directors, it's just him. Nobody on his board of directors is going to be a real influence to the point where, you know, they can really go and donate to a presidential campaign or something like that. So, you know, Combs felt like he was bigger than the program. And once he demonstrated certain activities, you know, it led to his demise because, you know, the human trafficking division in the United States is a small group.
Yeah.
So that's why after Combs went down, you seen the guy Reeves from Abercrombie. You see what happens down by Disneyland. They working hand in hand with other groups of law enforcement to combat this. You know, it's $11 billion a year industry.
Yeah.
You know, people want to blame the majority of it on the 5% of celebrity culture. It's not. That's not the majority that's making the purchases. You know, you can sell a kilo one time. You can sell a kid 100 times. So, you know, once they was able to see that he violated interstate commerce laws by flying underage people on planes for sex and stuff like that, that's what led to his demise. And then once he was off the street, people feel safe now. He's a dangerous person. He's not a pushover. His name's associated with murders, various assaults, explosives in someone's vehicle. Feds say they got him actively while under indictment, calling witnesses, trying to get them to change their story. They told him, you can stay on the street as long as you're not calling witnesses and your private jet is in 2 different states. This guy standing on the street with a sucker.
Yeah.
And a group of young girls, they're excited to see him. Then that plane came to New York. They picked him up. They picked him up immediately.
I mean, you think he's going to stand up in all of this? Or you think he's going to cooperate? You think he's going to give up some of these big names? Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll tell you this, homie. I was in the exact same prison on the same, it should be a jail rather. I was in the jail where Epstein was. I was on that tier. I was in those cells. There's no way in my mind that you're going to commit suicide. No way. You can't do it. They're watching that tier all the time. The cameras are on. For everything to go off at one time, it would still be hard for him to commit suicide because there's nothing there. There's nothing on the ceiling. The bed is this high. You couldn't do it. So my point is, you know, I think they got rid of Epstein. I'll swear to that. I don't know what's going to happen with Diddy.
It's listed in the Epstein investigation that on the day that he died, the cameras were not working on that tier.
Right.
You know what that means.
Absolutely.
And I don't feel like the average American understands how cheap the price of life is now. Combs, they said that 1,000 bottles of baby oil, allegedly some of the bottles tested positive for liquid GHB. So if we do the math on that, 1,000 bottles, 8 ounces, what's that? 54 pounds of GHB.
Mm-hmm.
Mandatory life sentence.
Right.
$58 million bail package denied.
Mm-hmm.
All of the prosecutors on that case are women. We also seen the mayor, Eric, get indicted.
Right.
FBI was trying to save face before the election to not get disbanded. So they did what they did, racked up some big cases, locked some people up. Combs is going to have to give up people if he ever wants to see the light of day again. He's facing several life sentences. And he don't have murders he can give up. But if he does, he will. So January 20 was a trial start May 25th.
Yeah.
We're going to see some interesting things start to take place before then. Do you see they come in, season his notes? He get a little win in court. They got to destroy the notes they took.
Yeah.
He wants to change his jail because he knows he can get Epstein in there.
Yeah. You know, my thinking is he either disappears, meaning some kind of accidental death, number one. Number two, he cooperates and gives up somebody that law enforcement might think is more important than him, or he goes to jail forever. I mean, it's going to be, I don't see him standing up. Let's put it this way.
I don't see that either, because why would you as a billionaire need automatic rifles with defaced serial numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you need that? You're doing things you're not supposed to be doing. And I feel like there is another criminal drug dealing element that they working on, because when they first stopped his plane, they arrested his mule. And then when they arrest you again, you still got drugs on you.
Yeah.
That's operating like somebody who's been cooperating.
Yeah. So Suge saying that he's been cooperating is not too far off in your opinion.
Not too far off at all. Not too far off at all, because Keefe D is in Clark County right now, and he's saying Diddy the one paid us to kill Tupac.
Really? Yeah, he did say that, yeah.
Saying, allegedly the feds have a list of people that he's responsible for their demise.
Mm-hmm.
They also said they have him on camera at his residence assaulting a male sex worker. How out of control are you? You paid this person to come here to have sex. You got a rifle?
Yeah.
I know a dude, bro, personally, who he said he's out to eat with Combs, his sons, and some other people. And the topic came up, how much money would it cost for you to suck a penis? He said, man, I need at least $100,000. He said to me, Combs said $100,000 right now. You would do it. And he said, man, I was just playing. But he said Combs wasn't playing.
So y'all know my thoughts on NDAs. If all this shit was going on, ain't no fucking NDA gonna hold up in court, period. You break the law, NDA's out the window. On Diddy being an informant, I personally think it's very possible. And I think it's very possible it was his job to get other elites on video doing a bunch of fucked up shit so they could be controlled. Not saying it's fact. I'm saying it's possible. Maybe even likely. So there you have it. That's someone from the inside considered very credible. Big homie CC. And shout out to Michael Francis for conducting one hell of an interview, to be quite honest. Now, there's a lot of news to cover that has come out recently in the last week or so. So I'm going to reference several articles that have come out, and we'll get into those. And the first thing I'm going to reference here is an article from The Independent that brought to light an old lawsuit, that first lawsuit against Diddy way back in late 2023 that was filed that really kicked off this whole thing. It wasn't the first lawsuit he's ever had, but the first one that kicked off what's going on right now. And that was from Cassie's lawsuit. And it says Sean Diddy Combs reportedly refused a chance to settle singer Cassie Ventura's bombshell rape and abuse lawsuit against him before she went public, which led to the explosion of the criminal case against the music mogul. An attorney by the name of Dante Mills claimed that Ventura approached Combs to settle that lawsuit privately. She came to him before she filed any lawsuit and said that she would give him the opportunity to settle the case before she brought the case to the public. Now, this is extremely common, and after I finish this article, we're going to discuss it. I got some important points to make on that. It all began when Ventura filed a lawsuit against Combs just hours before the expiration of New York's Adult Survivors Act in late November of 2023. The suit claimed he had raped her, physically abused her, etc. He agreed to pay an undisclosed amount of money to settle those claims out of court, but never admitted any wrongdoing. Months later, in May of 2024, C&M released that famous hotel security camera video showing Combs beating Ventura in 2016. And it goes on to discuss pretty much everything I've already covered and exposed. But let me talk about this for a second. There's a lot of lawsuits out there right now that have not been brought to the public yet because the attorneys are going to the people named in those lawsuits. The vast majority of these are civil lawsuits. So what occurs in these cases is these attorneys will go to Diddy's legal team and they'll say, hey, look, plaintiff ABC, they're claiming that this occurred, whatever that is, on this date with Sean Combs. And we're going to bring this to the public and we're going to file a public lawsuit unless Diddy's willing to settle. And not only that, those celebrities that have been mentioned, I guarantee you, many of them have already been approached by attorneys. And basically those attorneys are doing the same thing. Hey, if you don't want your name out in the public with a public lawsuit, we'll go ahead and settle this for $6 million. And so sadly, a lot of the names that are swirling around the internet right now, you're never going to see them in the public because those people are going to settle 100%, especially if it's someone with a exorbitant amount of money. And I'm not going to name any names, but if those people can get out of it for paying $10 million or something like that, keep this from becoming public and ruining their career, they're going to do it. So if you wonder why some names will never surface, that's why. And we'll move on with this second article. And look, this one's going to spell a little bit of panic in Diddy's legal team. It has been announced that Maureen Comey on Monday of last week notified the court that she has joined the case for the prosecution. The lawyer, daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, is best known as one of the three lead prosecutors who secured a conviction in 2021 against Ghislaine Maxwell for conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to sexually abuse and traffic minors. So that was a huge announcement. This is someone not only has experience prosecuting RICO cases, things like that, but also sex cases, and also the biggest sex case of all time before Diddy came along, and that was the Epstein case. She has been added to the prosecution's team. And a new lawsuit came out, and look, try as I must, I could not get my hands on the actual lawsuit, but I did get my hands on the details. Sean Diddy Combs has been accused in a new lawsuit of dangling a woman from a 17th floor balcony of an apartment during an altercation. The lawsuit, filed in Los Angeles by fashion designer Brianna Banna Boglin, alleges the incident happened in 2016 while she was at the home of Mr. Combs' then-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura. It is the latest in more than 24 lawsuits accusing Mr. Combs of several offenses, including sexual assault, drugging people, threatening witnesses, and causing physical harm. The music mogul is also facing federal charges in a racketeering and sex trafficking scheme. He has denied all those allegations, including the latest claim. A representative told the BBC on Tuesday that he firmly denies these serious allegations in the new lawsuit and remains confident they will ultimately be proven baseless. The female says she was spending the night at Miss Ventura's apartment when Mr. Combs started shouting and banging on the front door. After coming inside the home, Mr. Combs allegedly confronted her as she was standing on the balcony. The lawsuit states he allegedly grabbed and molested her. He then lifted her up and started dangling her from the balcony of the unit, the lawsuit alleges. At the time of the incident, she weighed about 100 pounds, according to the lawsuit. It claimed that she tried to resist him, throwing her weight back in a desperate struggle to avoid being thrown to the ground and to her death, but Mr. Combs easily overpowered her. The lawsuit went on to say Miss Ventura came outside and intervened, and Mr. Combs allegedly pulled the complainant back over the ledge by slamming her onto the patio furniture. A representative for the rapper denied the allegations in a statement to the BBC on Tuesday. Anyone has the right to file a lawsuit, they said, regardless of the evidence they may or may not have, the statement read, adding Mr. Combs has unwavering faith in the facts and the fairness of the judicial process. It continued, in court, the truth will come to light, demonstrating that the claims against Mr. Combs are without merit. The female also claimed that she did not and still does not know what provoked the alleged incident. She is seeking $10 million in damages from the rapper. In the lawsuit, she alleged that it was a culmination of a series of threats, intimidation, and violence that colored many of her interactions with Mr. Combs from the day she met him. So there you have it, another lawsuit, this one filed in LA, not New York. And a property manager has come out detailing some shocking conditions of Diddy mansions after a particular Las Vegas party. The property manager for a Las Vegas mansion where Sean Diddy Combs threw a party has claimed that the rapper left some shocking items laying around after the event. The bedrooms the following day were disgusting, the property manager Jason Haidt told the Daily Mail in an interview published on Tuesday, November 19th. There were broken bottles of alcohol, used condoms, blood on the bedding, powder, razor blades by the hundreds, lubricant on the dressers and marble floors. I found panties, bras, and even 2 iPhones in the bushes behind the bowling alley. Haidt claimed that the mansion was left in disarray and said that he collected around a half an ounce of cocaine from around the palace. I thought it was powdered sugar everywhere, he admitted. Diddy, 55, had hosted the event in honor of Meek Mill's 27th birthday in May of 2014, and Haidt shared video footage from the event with the publication. In the clip, famous faces like comedian Andrew King Bachelor, I've never heard of him, French Montana, and Lil Durk can be seen at the party. DJs were posted up and around the mansion, and sushi was served off nude women who were lying on tables. The party was held 3 days after Mill's birthday and coincided with the first night of the fight between Floyd Mayweather and Marcos Maidana. Haidt claims that Diddy's personal assistant relayed several specific requests to him regarding how the disgraced music mogul wanted things set up for the night. They requested that all interior bedroom door locks were to be ordered new and left unopened for their arrival for security purposes, as they would need to supervise the installation. And both keys were to be given to Mr. Combs directly and nobody else, Haidt said. Diddy and his team were also particular about the use of smoke detectors inside the mansion. This policy mandated the use of smoke detectors in all areas of the homes and guest houses, which I replied we already had, Haidt explained. They said they would prefer brand new ones and would have them shipped to me. They would install them upon arrival. They said the detectors would be temporarily attached and removed after the event, and I agreed. And I'm going to stop right there because let me tell you what that is. He had cameras in those smoke detectors. 100% sure of that in my mind. This dude wanted new detectors because they had them little ping cameras in them. Hike claimed he was given a rough estimate of about 850 guests for the party, but approximately 900 people showed up. The property manager also said that he agreed to stay on the site throughout the party to ensure the event went as planned, while Hike claimed most of the guests took part in drug use during the party. He described Combs at the party as wasted, and I can only imagine that. And you may be curious to know about Diddy's first Christmas behind bars, since he's been denied 4 times now for bail, and let's hope he never gets out. Diddy will be getting his freak on over Christmas, though. But it's not what you'll think. His federal jail is giving him several options to play sports and games with a special holiday spread. Sources in the federal government said that MDC Brooklyn inmates, where Diddy's being held, will be able to participate in some friendly competition on Christmas Day, including card games and dominoes. In addition to a spades tournament and a dominoes competition, Diddy and his fellow inmates will also be able to take part in 3-on-3 basketball tournaments and a soccer competition. With all these activities, Diddy and company are likely to work up an appetite. And guess what? I have the prison menu for that day, for Christmas, that special Christmas meal for Diddy. Diddy's going to be chowing down on baked Cornish hen, macaroni and cheese, cranberry sauce, dinner rolls, and a holiday dessert. At least for lunch. Then it's back to, his normal slop. So there you have it. Even Diddy is going to have a special Christmas. I want to thank everyone for listening, subscribing on Patreon. We offer all kinds of benefits. Go check that out. I want to thank all of you for rating the podcast. If you've not yet done so, please give us a rating. And lastly, we're going to start kind of a hashtag thing. When you share the podcast, if you could just hashtag it, exposed podcast files, exposed podcast files, that really helps get all these horrible stories out there. So I appreciate all of you very much. And until next time, for Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite, I'm your host, Jim Chapman. Much love.